Morning, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on where you at. My name is Mystic Raven, this is CSO Daily, and today I'm going to be covering, I'm on the PTS, and I'm going to be covering gear configurations and tests for Magicka Nightblade. Alright, so there's a lot of things that I want to kind of cover, because we're debating about configurations. And one of the sets that I'm going to be testing right off the rip is Julianos with Moondancers. Now, one of the things that I want to test for, and specifically, we're going to be doing static. That's what I test for. I don't do full parses because human error can play a part in as far as rotation, full rotations go. So static will apply even throughout the entire rotation. That's why I always test static. Always, always, always. So we're going to go with that. We'll switch out some sets, kind of configure around, see what we can find out, and what we're going to go with. Now, right now I'm double stacked, but one of the best things about Moondancers, it's a proc. So I'm going to say this. You can actually still run a monster set with a configuration like this on the dual bar. The reason I'm not going to right from the rip is what I want to see here is get the proc and get the Torox pack. That's what I'm trying to test for. So I am going to go ahead and grab up the Grothar real quick, though, too. Because I'm going to be using Inferno Staff. I could use something like Labyrinths, but I'm going to go with the Grothar. We're going to go light because my crafted set, but I'll be grabbing a bunch of pieces. Light's what we're going to be looking at, though. Because I got a medium and already a heavy. But just in case. But, alright, so that's taken care of right from the rip. And what I want to do first is we're going to test my funnel health, which is my spammable, with my builder to proc up Might of the Mage passive in the Empower. So, hold on. Gotta move this. This is annoying. Alright. Let's check this out. Oh, another thing I want to do real quick. Let's go to options. I want that on. And I want that on. Okay, well, welcome, David. All right, and I don't see my buffs, but let me go ahead and move that. 1 second. Controls, settings, add-on, FTC, unlock position. I'll put it over here so we get to see everything. Okay. Alright. Should be good there. Alright. Got my food buff. We'll reapply. Alright. Okay. Once again, we're going to go with the funnel. I'm going to hit this a couple times because I want that proc up. I forgot to grab the Mundus. 1 second. Let's take a look where we're at here. And I forgot to spec my champion points. Let's do the champion points real quick. It's way low. I already got some pen. So I'll usually go around 26 on a mag build. Unless I'm needing more. I always went to 12% for the Elfborn to cover the shadow. Because I will not be using it. We usually go between 13 to 14. We'll go 13. Okay. Always put about 6 to 9% for staff. Master at Arms. We're dealing a lot of dot damage, but we also want to take a look at our direct. We'll get that up to about between 18 and 19. Then we want Summon Thaumaturge. Okay, put that off point difference back into spell erosion. That looks good. Not too worried about resistance, but we will be putting in a recovery real quick. Get this up to about 14. $44.8. We're gonna need the thief. That's the warrior. I know this is the shadow, but let's check it out. 54. That looks pretty good. Might have to reconfigure some penetration. Alright, and another one I want to go ahead and get here. I have the warrior. That's the shadow. Or no, that's the lover. Okay. And that's the thief, so I need the apprentice. We'll get that real quick. Okay. Let's place this down real quick. Well, bad thing about these sometimes. Ugh. Tell you what. Can never. There we go. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's try this. Now 13-1. Morning Rock again. Now one thing I also want to look for is which proc I'm going to be getting from the set. Because remember, Moondancers, when you activate a synergy, I have to activate a synergy. That's the one thing. So it's kind of like, okay. Now, here's my deal with this. I have to activate the synergy to get the boost. I don't have direct. But even without it, it's 13-1. To me, that's kind of the problem. The Infallible. This is kind of another thing I've been wanting to test because we don't have to worry about the proc. The proc is kind of based off of our heavy attack for the minor vulnerability. So we're going to do a fully charged heavy attack. We'll switch out, proc it up because it's a timed effect for 10 seconds. Okay. Now, once again, we got the Minor Slayer. Now I can go ahead, switch out, do the heavy attack. And that's dealing more. But my crit is way high now with this set because of the crit. So I'm going to bring that down. We'll go with the Lover. Try to spike up that. It's a little lower, but once again, we're going to do a heavy attack. Switch. 15. Alright. With the minor vulnerability applied. Alright, now I'm going to switch out to the Apprentice Mundus. 1504. Now, mind you, things would change for the synergy. The one thing I don't like about Moondancers, I can't control which buff I'm going to get based on the synergy. It's a great set, but if I can get a crit. No, it's way less. So penetration is going to be, once again, an essential thing. Now, this is another thing I wanted to test, because Minor Slayer is becoming less effective. Trial sets is kind of suffering that. Hence why I grabbed the strategy set. I think the strategy is actually going to outperform everything because of that Minor Slayer. To be honest with you. I'm anticipating it. Once again, and it'll have the same effect as the Infallible. 1504. Right. Alright, right. So, given that fact, we're going to go back. Now, the nice thing about this set, right, and I'll go ahead, I have to have it on Resto. And I'm going to do both Destros, and I'm going to show you guys what I'll be losing. Because a lot of people are doing dual Destro, and I'll show you guys something. Alright. So I'm going to put the strategy on. 1504 is what we were dealing, so okay, so there's 5. Once again, hit it up. Man. What the hell? Did you see that delay? 14-9. So that's less. So that Slayer is definitely beating the set just from the initial rip. So Infallible is still performing better than the strategy set or the Wise Mage set. It's the same effect. When you do a heavy attack, it'll apply the minor vulnerability. The only difference is you're sacrificing the Slayer for a crit. It's not worth it compared to the Infallible. Moondancers is a great set. Problem of it is, it's based off of the synergy activation. And you can't control which you're going to get, but the 30 seconds, and it can only be applied. The 30 seconds has to drop off for that, and to me, that's where it's costly. Nice thing, though, about Moondancer, I can use another set. Now, here's another thing I want to go ahead and do. So I'm going to go back to the Infallible Ether. All right. All right. So we have this set, which is nice. But keep in mind, guys, you only need one person with this set. You don't need everybody rolling Infal. Why? Why am I saying that? Right? Because it affects, it's basically like Night Mothers in that essence. Once the minor vulnerability is applied, it will not stack. So running all Magicka builds with Infal is costly to your team, right? As far as damage output. Because it's basically like Night Mothers. With one person applying Night Mothers, it applies the debuff. So you only, like I always see people roll, a ton of Magicka users roll Infal, but once again, you only need one person with it. It's kind of the same rule applies to Night Mother set. If one person's running this, that minor vulnerability is applied to the target once the fully charged heavy attack is applied. So to say that everybody should be rolling, or this is BIS, or everybody should be rolling it, that's not the case. You'd be better off with more Magicka users rolling Moondancer and only one rolling the Infal. That's just the way it is. That's a fact. It only once the target is applied with it, you can reapply it throughout the rotation. Now, what I want to go ahead and do, I'm going to switch out my staff. I want to go ahead and get the lightning staff, right? We can run get a Maelstrom Destro staff, for example, and we'll get the Nirnholm, whatever. Now, a lot of people are kind of running a configuration. So let me show you something. I'm not going to activate the Infal, but let me show you guys something. Okay, so currently, without Infal activated, my spam's doing 14-2 and 8-2 base. Okay, 8-2 base. 14-2, right? 12 without the Empower. All right, so if I switch out for the Maelstrom Lightning Staff, and say I'm running dual Destro, and I hit again, I'm losing a shitload of deeps on my spammables. So if people try to tell you dual Destro is going to yield more damage, the applied effects stack, right? Like Concuss and the Burning Status effect. And you'll make up marginal differences because of the way that stacks, but once a Burning Status effect is applied to said target, right? It doesn't basically keep stacking that damage effect to the target. You'll get the boost for Concuss. Basically, Concuss. When Concuss hits, it'll amp up everybody's DPS. Your party's DPS. Everybody will get the bonus for the Concuss based off of the balance debuff. But once again, you're going to sacrifice. You only need one person maybe running dual Destro if they're going to do it. But if you have one person running Destro, one person running other people running Inferno, and people running Lightning Staff, should you roll dual Destro and sacrifice the dual wield? Absolutely fucking not. That would be very, very detrimental as far as your overall damage performance. Just not worth it. Now, so I would always tell people, if you're going to run with no monster set and you're going to stack up because you need to, you can do that, right? If you're going to run it. But like for me, I might be better off if I'm not going to roll a monster set going back with that Torox pack. Yeah, I'm on the PTS for the latest patch. Correct. All right. So in this essence, I'm double stacked, right? But I have to be because I'm running the Maelstrom staff. I have to lose to gain. But what I could also do is switch this staff out, right? So let's go into the infallible weapons, and let's say I run Destro Resto is good for PvP rock, but for PvE Resto yields the least amount of damage. But if you're going as a healer and you want to do Destro Resto, you would benefit, right? Because you're fully charged heavy attack. You could do a lightning staff on a fully charged, right? With the Ellie Drain, and it works out really good. You have another, you know, AoE effect that's being applied. And I do that on my healers. Like if on my healers I run Resto, if I run Resto Destro, if I do it on certain builds, I prefer the lightning staff. You know, preferably. So let's go ahead and let's take a look. They don't have the Nirnholm. Unfortunately, it's all precise. But it's fine. It is what it is. But let's say I grab this staff, right? And I switch out a Maelstrom for the Infal, right? Now, what that allows me to do is actually go with the monster set. Right? Oh no, I'm losing out. So I'd have to switch out for Juliana's swords to keep up on the main. So if I had Juliana's swords, right? And let's say I switch up, hold on. I don't have Juliana's swords. I didn't make them. My bad. But let's say I go with some Infal. Can't heal without a Resto staff. Right. Okay, so let's go here. Let's go with the Infal here. Let's go Infal here. Now, on staff side, right? Oh, wait a minute. I might even have one way more than one piece. I could go back with Giuliano's. Yeah. Okay. So I would need one Giuliano's sword or something like that. Actually, let me make sure. Yeah. I could go with like a Giuliano's Destro. And I would be okay with that because now I can proc Garthar. So if you're going dual Destro and you want to keep the monster set and you want to keep it procced up with the Infal, you can do that. Right? That would make sense. But you'd lose on one of the sides because you'd have Julianos on one side, Infal on the other to proc. And to me, that configuration, it works if you're going to maintain. But for me, I wouldn't rather. I would actually go with maybe one monster set if you wanted to. But to me, it's not worth losing the Maelstrom if you have Maelstrom. And then that allows me to go ahead reslot the Julie. So now I have the Julianos stacked with the Infallible. And I can maintain the Torox pack if I don't have a Maelstrom. And I can maintain that. If I'm not running a Maelstrom staff for the proc, for the unstable wall, I can go with one monster piece. And that's fine. And you'd see the damage increase constant throughout the board. Because we're not relying on that Maelstrom. See? So we're getting a way higher value because we're running one piece of monster set. Right? And it's stacked. It's double stacked. This is kind of the way it's going to go. You're going to either going to be running maybe one of those, but here's something even more interesting, and I will be showing this too. But for example, if I wanted to get that run that Maelstrom, remember my light and heavy attacks deal an additional, so that can add up, right? If I'm doing a lot of light and heavy attacks throughout my rotation, I get that benefit. But is the Maelstrom staff going to be worth it rather than running a double piece and one monster set piece. I'll lose the proc from the monster set. But regardless, now if I go into supplies and let's say I go with let's say dungeon drops, or better yet, this is what I'll do. I'll put in my one build together. So world drops. Let's go to world drops, overland drops, light armor set, and I run War Maidens. So I'm going to pair War Maidens now with my Julianos. And this is kind of why I've been kind of getting away from trial sets more and more, because I want that complete static. So let's say once again I'm going to go stack. Well, yeah, I'll stack it up. So we're going to go that way. All right. I think I got it all. So we're going to replace it. War Maidens. I believe that's 5. Now I can go back to the Destro for Maelstrom. All right. Stay with the Torox pack. Critical value is definitely a little low. So I would probably go back to the Thief. Check out that critical value again. It's pretty damn good right there. Now I might have to offset the penetrating values a little better. I will try also the spinners. So we're dealing less because those that penetration is way too low, but the base is up. So crit value's down, but base is up. So let's go ahead. We'll drop this. We'll go out with the spinners, get some more penetration because we need that thief. Up. Oh, forgot to grab the jewelry out of the box. Okay, so that's going to give us some penetration there. Take a look at the crit value. We're still around the 55. That looks pretty damn good. 14-3. We'll check that out again. 8-3. 14-3. Okay. $14,336. All right. Make sure I have all 5. Now, I will be doing it with or without, because keep in mind, I only need 1 person. So, say if somebody's running the infal, that will apply. Okay, I'm missing the penetrating value. But my crit is well above normal, so we will go back to the penetration, because that's what Spinner was giving us. Stop the combat. Okay, let's take a look. Yeah. So yeah, it comes in close, but keep in mind, guys. So if the minor vulnerability is applied, it's going to deal more than the spinners. Right? Right there. But you only need 1 person with infal. If 1 person has it, you don't need it. That's where spinners will out DPS the infallible ether set. Right? Penetration is going to be a must. But what it can also do is this trick. So let's do something here. So let's say I go with back to War Maidens, because I have a build with it. So I'm going to go back to the War Maiden set. Right? Now 14336 was what spinners was yielding for us. The problem of it is, though, we're going to lose out on crit because of War Maiden. Because now when we go back in, our crit's low. We need the Thief. We have to have it. Unless we're running a double precise or something. So we're going to need that, right? It just has to go that way. So now we're a little over, right? Now, if I wanted to, I could bring this down and use Infused, right? Get that back down there. Go back into my champion points. And here's where I can yield a lot better results. So I can take this down to about 17. Yield this down to about 12. Offset that slight difference. Right? And we'll also take this down to about 17. Right. The minor maim, once it applies, it's just going to reduce the damage. The burning status effect, you can lay concuss, you'll get the bonus. Burning status effects, burning is going to be a dot. So when you apply, a burning effect, it's a dot applied, like a bleed. So I'll use Inferno Staff sometimes, depending on the set of monster sets I'm running, to help proc a monster set, because it's a dot effect. Where Concuss is basically a debuff being applied that magnifies your damage output for the trait, or for the passive. So, and Minor Maim, once again, is going to reduce the damage. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put a little bit more in here. All right. It's going to be still, it's up there more. So 13.9. So we did get it up. And that's War Maiden. So as you guys can see, me kind of, yeah, it's okay run. Destro Resto. I don't use Resto. If the heavy attack on Resto it's not beneficial for me and as a DPS. Yeah, like if I want to do the heal, I'll use Destro Resto. But on DPS, it's not worth it for me. I always lose DPS on Resto. But as you guys can see, I can take off the spinner set, use the War Maiden, pump that up. Right? I can get it past the value. Problem of it is the base damage is going to drop, but the critical rating is going to be up, is going to yield more. So this configuration would be fine. It's really good, and it's still going to let's try it again. I will kind of mess with it again, and we'll put the spinners back on with this configuration. 13.9 with this setup. Okay. Come on. Come on. Blah, blah, blah. PvE, Darth. Trying trial sets and all this other shit. Okay. Back up to spinners. So 13.9 with War Maiden. Okay. $14.5. Wow, spinners is just, that penetration is just there. My crit is a little low, but damn, that's really good. Here's run. No. Run. Run. You don't get what you're saying on a static. If my damage is higher per ability, it scales with a full parse regardless. You can't debate a hit for every ability that is affected. Right? Human error can be taken into when you're trying to parse something. You see, that's where you're kind of wrong, Ron, because every ability that I set up will scale. It doesn't scale differently for a parse. Actually, human error can fuck up your parse. The static effect applies. Spinners use absolute garbage in PvE, and it's debatable in PvP. Well, as you guys are seeing, I'm dealing more damage with it. That's what I'm trying to show you, Darth. It's about penetrating values. You can't exceed it. But as long as you're getting up there, you're good. For example, right now, I'm using the spinners, right? My critical value is 50. I can get that up there a little bit more. Right now, with even that 50, my base damage with the Empower is 8.4 per hit. Right? Look, 7.3 without Empower. Okay? That's not going to change. Right? Add the Empower. That's a static effect. That's what we're calling static. You can take out human error out of the equation. It's status effects that apply, and that reflects your tooltip. For example, if I hit this and I go with the funnel with the Empower, let's say I don't use Empower. Let's say that. Let's say I don't use it. 7.378 is base, right? Let's go back to the tooltip, right? My max amount I can do is 9,004 base for penetration. Yeah, right. And that can happen, Ron. I'm not debating that. I'm not debating it. You have to take into consideration penetrating values, right? Whoa, Darth. What are you talking about? BSW, Burning Spellweave, on what class? Where would you apply BSW? Dude, I know. I run Scoria. But what class are you talking about BSW? What class? Are you saying every Magicka user should be rolling BSW? Because nobody's doing that shit no more. I can. The downtime for BSW on a fucking any other class but a DK is garbage, Darth. Nobody's doing it. Outcast is not running BSW on a Nightblade. Right? Dawn, the Dawn would tell you not to run, and me and him don't get along. He would tell you not to run BSW on a Nightblade. Even Gilliam would tell you don't run BSW on a Sork or a Nightblade. Nobody does that. That was garbage. You don't have a significant amount of uptime like the DK does. That was garbage being fed to the community when they were doing that. Uptime was not viable. Losing DPS on that, whatever. Nobody's doing it. You show me a current vid where everybody's doing it. But you show me Outcast, Nightblade vid. He's not running Burning Spell Weave. You show me Gilliam. Me and Gilliam go head to head. Show me where he's running BSW. Darth, I want you to link me a video where these guys are using BSW on a blade. You have to deal fire damage to proc it. You're only going to be dealing 2 or 3 abilities on the Mage Blade. You can link in my chat. You find it, you link it to me, and you know, and I take criticism. But I use Burning Spell Weave on my Mag DK. Because its uptime's 100%. Why? Because it's dealing all fire damage. It's 100% uptime. That's significant. It's basically the same effect. Like Infallible. How many players in your trial need to be running Infallible? How many? 1. You're going to link whose video? Link it. I want something updated that it's linked. Don't throw me anything that's past. Throw me something. Fire enchantment on the weapon. Whose video? Show me whatever. No, but none of those guys are doing it. Outcast isn't doing it. Show me Outcast Mage Blade. Show me Gilliam's Mage Blade. There's a reason nobody's running the BSW. The uptime. It's not to say you can't do it. The uptime's just not there. It's not as prominent. You can do whatever you want, technically. Are you a console player, Darth? Oh, yeah. Anyways, I'll wait for him to link the video. So, anyways, where was we at? Okay, I wanted to check this. You link me the video and I'll trust you. I have every set in the game, Darth. 14.5. Okay. That's with spinners. Now, if we go back to the Infallible, damn, how did I get all the damn money? Oh, I'm on PTS. They give us everything on PTS, Shadow. So we have way inflated. Okay, Darth, do me a favor. Link it in my last video then. You can link anything. You can link it. Link it in another video. Tell me you linked it in my just video I did this morning then. And I'll take a look at it. We'll throw it up. I have no problem with that. It's got to be current. Yeah, exactly. I got access to about like 10 mil. All right. So, now see, here's the problem. Once again, I'm not going to deal any more until that minor vulnerability is applied. $14.22. I'm dealing less. Yeah, copy and paste. Right, Rock? All you have to do is copy and paste. It's not rocket science. I'm going to explain this one final time. I'll explain the best. Best in slot. What do we got, people? Bullshit! No, why, if it's best in slot, Darth, why is not Gilliam or Outcast rolling it on a Mageblade if it's best in slot? Why aren't they rolling it on their Mageblades? Can you tell me that? Darth? I don't like them as much, you know. I have questionable things too. But if it's best in slot like you just said it was, then why aren't the two top YouTubers for PvE rolling Burning Spellweave on a Mageblade? They haven't done it since, like, Morrowind, when it got a big fat nerf bat like I said it was going to. Okay, so Infal. Infal deals less because we got to take a look at the penetrating values. Since you usually go range on Mageblade, you switch to 5 Julianas for with Shock, Spell, Damage, Enchant, and Scoria. They are both... Darth, I'm asking you why Outcast and Gilliam and the top players that are listed, supposedly, I disagree with that. I mean, I think they're I think they're damn good. I don't bitch about their builds. I don't bitch about anybody's build, really. He runs with Outcast. Why isn't Outcast rolling Burning Spellweave on his mage build, then, if it's best in slot? I could tell you why. He even said why. Even Outcast and Gilliam said why they don't run Burning Spellweave on other classes now. You didn't answer if you're on console, Darth. Okay, Infallible Ether is going to do really good damage. We got to worry about penetrating values. I'm going to ignore the troll until he links something. Here's the deal. You only need one person with Infallible Ether. Only one person in your trial with Infallible Ether. It acts like Night Mothers. Once the debuff's applied, nobody else needs to do it. It can be reapplied throughout the rotation. Simple, friggin' simple. As long as you got one player rolling Infal, that minor vulnerability will be applied. It will not stack. Minor vulnerability does not stack. It applies to the entire party. All right? Increases their damage. Not single, their damage. So minor vulnerability, once it's applied, that's it. One person, Infal. All right? Simple. Now, if we're talking about over-exceeding penetrating values, you have to keep between 11 to 12, given the fact, let's say you go 11. Let's say Crushers is applied, and Major Breach is applied. That's 5,002, right? So we're going to take a look. I will replace the one skill to simulate this effect. Right? We'll just go with Pierce. That's fine. All right. So we're going to simulate it with both sets, because that's going to do the applied effect. Dude, link it in the last post. So yeah, you can link it here, Darth. If you don't link it here, you can link it in my last video. I'm not opposed to it. Link it. Okay. So we're going to go back to the spinners for a second. All right. And we have to simulate the penetrating value. All right. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to hit the mark. $16.56. Okay. I don't ban links. There's no link ban, Darth. It's posted in my last video. If you can't post it here, go to the video I did earlier, post it, tell me you posted it, and I'll take a look at it. Okay. So we kind of got that going down here. Okay, so that's given us the 5,002 for the major breach. 16.5 with spinners. Right? Alright. And that's with spinners. And using the Thief Mundus. Alright. Alright. So we're going to go back to War Maiden. Okay. That's going to be almost 18. No. So War Maiden is 15.9. And spinners is still, even with what do you, dude, people post on my pages all the time, Darth. If you can't post here, I did a video. Go to my page, go to the video and post it. People post links all the time. I don't know why you can't if you are having a problem. You're not banned. There's nothing that prevents you from posting links. If you can't post in this chat, just post in my previous video. So spinners, even with the piercing, is dealing significantly more. Now let's go ahead. I'll put it back on the infal, right? Now mind you, this is going to give us the Slayer. And it's dealing way less. Because here's the thing, guys. When we take a look at the skill, the Pierce Armor is going to give us that major breach. So people are going to say you can over-exceed. Well, there's a huge gap. So if I have a between 12 and I get the 5, that still gives me for minor breach. That still gives me enough room for minor breach to be applied. Right? So even with that applied, spinners is going to deal more if I'm not running the Lover Mundus. Now, I have crit at this exact... So let's say I bring that crit down. Now, I have Infal on. Still. So, if I bring down... It's 16,457. And then without the, so it's 14 without the Empower buff. But with the Empower buff, 16,457. So let's remember that, 16,457. Okay, let's go back in here. Now my crit's going to drop. But I got penetration, so I'm going to take the Thief back up. There it is. Slightly indifferent, but more. Now, this is to say you're not going to run a monster set. if you're not going to run it. If you aren't, and you want to still go with the Torox pack, now here's the reason being, and I'm going to say this. Okay, dude, link me the vid and show me the updated version. But the funny thing about it is you're not explaining why Outcast isn't running it on his Mageblade. You're not explaining why Gilliam isn't running it on his. You're not explaining anything other than look this dude up. You can link it to my page. You don't have to link it here. Link it to the other one. Show me the updated vid. Link the updated vid since Horns of the Reach. But majority of players have dumped Burning Spellweave, except, guess who? DKs. And the reason being is because of uptime. That's the reason. It's not to say that the effect doesn't apply, you know, the boost to the spell damage. So, now, here's the thing about Torox Pack. Well, let's get into this. I'm getting 129 spell damage, guys, right? And I got the Nirnholm. When I take a look at the character sheet, my increased spell damage is 2313, right? If I go with a dual staff, let's say with the Nirnholm, right? Now I'm only looking at 1947. That's a significant decrease. So I have to, if I'm going to run dual Destro, I'm going to be aware that I'm going to sacrifice for the effects to be applied. That's why I'm saying, to me, it's not worth it in my build, because I'm getting that extra 129 spell damage. And that's reflective, right? It's just reflective if I'm going to do that. Because that 5% towards my Twin Blade Blunt passive is going to yield a higher result. So I'm back up to 2313. That pushes my class abilities higher. But do I want to go ahead and get more out of maybe running these effects? Well, if I'm going to run, let's say, a Maelstrom Inferno staff, I only need it to proc up once. So if I'm going to run another staff, if I'm going to apply another effect, I probably would end up going with, say I'm running dual Destro, right? I'm definitely going to be running the Asylum. Why? Because I'm getting another effect to be applied. That's why. So let's go down here. Let's say I'm running a Lightning Staff of Nirnholm, right? And I go down and I have the Maelstrom Inferno and I have the Asylum. Okay. And they fixed this. They definitely fixed it. But every second cast, Force Shock will always apply the status effect. Burning, Concussed, Chilled. Right? The Force Shock cast must be made within 10 seconds. So that allows me, and Outcast did probably the better video explaining how you can apply it in the swap. And, you know, we have some indifferences, but his explanation how this is effective on the Maelstrom side and the switchover, how that effect, it applies, right? So that's true. So if I don't want to run like a Torox pack and I want to go with dual Destro, and let's say I'm going to go with the Lightning and I'm going to go with Inferno, I'm not going to want two Maelstrom staffs because that effect is already applied. The bonus to the light and heavy attacks is applied. I want to pick up a secondary effect. So I would probably run the Asylums to get a better effect for the status effect to be applied. So for me personally, this is how I would run it if I was running dual Destro. But do you need to? No. Once again, you don't have to. You can go ahead and you can run up the Torox pack. So it's going to be a matter of rotation, whatever. Spinners is looking good. But remember, in one of your DPS should be running Infallible on Vet Trial. The reason being, it applies the debuff. Now, you can run Moondancers, right? So let's say if I wanted to go back with the Grothdar set, and I wanted to have that proc, which I can. So if I want to do this, and let's say I go with a Moondancer weapons. And ideally, I'd want both swords. But they don't have it. But whatever. Anyways. So let's say I go with a Moondancer sword and a Moondancer other sword, right? And let's say I have my Julianos equipped. Making sure I have all the Julie. And we put on the Moondancer. Right? A build like this is still going to be really good. And let me explain why. Right? I am able to go ahead and use the Maelstrom or whatever staff I want to go ahead and use for my 1 bar swap. Right? I have the 5 Julianos bonus. On the dual bar, I have the 5 to proc with the synergy. So I'm able to keep the uptime high on the Grothar or Lamberance if I'm going to be running a lightning staff. Well, on the Nightblade, you'd be better off with Grothar. Why? Because you're not going to have 2 effects unless you're running dual Destro, and then you'd lose the Moondancer bonus. But with the synergy proc and everything firing off, and I get that boost, I'm going to get a recovery bonus or whatever, but I'm going to sacrifice the upfront damage, right? Until the proc hits with the synergy. So I'm going to lose out on upfront damage on ability based, but when the proc occurs, if I'm getting the increased spell damage for 30 seconds, my damage is going to spike up high, right? But once again, I got to take a look at penetrating value. So my crit's up there really high, but I'm running the Thief Mundus, right? I'm going to need penetration. So I'm going to have to either take the Lover or use a Sharpen trait. Dude, Darth, I said post it in my last video. You don't have to post it in live chat if you're having a problem. Post it in my last video, and I will click the link. Can you do that? Okay. So, you can still kind of run this configuration. For Magicka builds, this is still going to be a strong setup. I think the Minor Slayer just takes a hit. You know, even when people are going to discuss, penetrating values, right? You can go up to about 12k with a lot of cushion with the major and minor breach still applied. So 12k penetrating, you can run up, you can run spinners, get that extra penetration, and that offsets 1 piece of the sharpen. If you're going to use a set like War Maiden, right, you're going to have to take the Lover, but you're going to have to take the Thief to offset because your crit values are going to drop, and now you're still going to need another sharpen trait. That's what's going to be. Okay, you did? Let me go ahead and take a look. Now I'm going to take a look at the timestamp here too, Darth. Just to let you know. Okay. Now hold on. All right. Here's my fucking link. Get him, Shauna. All right. Let's see his... Oh my God! Darth, you got a major problem here. Okay. For Horns of the Reach. Is he with another person? That's another question. Mm-hmm. Now let's see if he's thrown up his metrics.
And Scoria.
I'm wanting this. I'm wanting his uptime. He's PC.
That's the thing I need to figure it out.
He's got to figure something out.
That is my setup. Most of the time on the front bar works like and if you shoot 3 assassins of Shadow Barrier, the rest of the missing penetration can be filled dungeons you don't.
It's a good video.
If you are using double inferno,
but he didn't throw his uptime. Now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to hold on. Okay. Now.
Hiya.
Go and copy. Oh my God, look, there's a fucking link, Darth, in my chat. I guess you can't do it. All right. And he rolls with Outcast, but yet there's Outcast video. It doesn't use that setup at all. Also, I can probably show you Gilliam's too. I can link that for you there, Darth. Everybody's going to be different with their builds. That's their preference. That's their shit. Show us the video. I watched a bunch of his videos. I didn't see any of his data. No, that's right, Weedmar. His data wasn't up. I seen his... No problem, Weedmar. Yeah. Right, but Darth, that's my point. That's Outcast's Mageblade video. Even Gilliam's not running it. Why can't you link it? You can't link it? You said you can't link it, but I just linked it. I just linked. Anybody can link. You can link in my chat, Darth. It's copy and paste. I got the best trolls, I swear to God. It's his preference. If he wants to do it, that's fine. But he doesn't show the data for the uptime. And that's his preference. That's his preference. But there's a reason a lot of players walked away from Burning Spellweave from any other class. Well, you sent it. Dude, you can send it. It's not hard. Copy and paste. Alright, so let me get back on track here. Moondancer. If you want to run a monster set and you want to run up Moondancer, you're good to go. You're going to sacrifice, though, upfront damage until the proc occurs. If your one party member isn't running Infallible Ether, Infallible Ether is a bonus to the entire party because it acts like Night Mothers. It gives the minor vulnerability, increasing the damage to your entire party by 6%. So you got to think of it in that aspect for Infallible Ether. Darth, I don't care. Let me do you a favor here, dude. Here, let me do you something. You're trying to promote people, and that's cool, and everything else, but I don't like trolls. I only put up with you so much. You're taking too much of my time here. So here, I'll do you a favor. Let me get this real quick. 1 second. Now I blocked you. Okay, moving on. I don't mind. I mean, seriously, he's got it on my last video page. I won't remove it, but it's there. So, and that's fine. If people want to roll that build, they can. I don't tell people how to build. Yeah, everybody knows this. But Moondancer is going to be good. If you're going to wait for the synergy to proc, the problem of it is you don't know what buff you're going to get. That upfront Minor Slayer isn't going to apply. The minor penetrating value can be up to about 12k. If you're going to run War Maidens, you're going to need a sharpened trait due to the fact that penetrating value is low. Because when we take a look at the spinner set, let's go back into spinners, for example. Right? And we'll go into the tooltip. to see the reflection. All right. Go back into the Torox pack. All right. I think I'm going to need that. Let's take a look. Let's go to the Thief. Now remember, I'm going to need the Thief if I'm rolling spinners. Penetrating values there. But here's the deal. Right? Now, this is the deal here. When I go into the tooltip, my maximum amount that can be yield with spinners is 8,013. Right? That is the max that can be done. That's it. That's it. 8,013. Now, when I go into War Maiden, right? Make sure we have it all. Penetration. So we're going to take pen now. There is no best in slot. It's a myth. Right. These parse trolls. Yeah, it is what it is. Gotta love the trolls. Now let's go back into the skills and we'll take a look at the tooltip. Now look, 8,000. I'm getting 300 more from War Maiden potential, right? That's significant. So the penetrating value has to be there. The problem of it is what I have to take into consideration is what I'm going to be needing for a secondary, because I have to take the precise, right? I can't afford not to have precise in that. And actually I might need 2 precise and sack, because like what's his name said, not Darth, Run said. Run made a very good point. Penetration, you can exceed. But if you're under penetration, that's why a set like War Maidens is going to deal less, because you're not at your pen cap. So I might be better off. Now, I don't have it. I will go get it really quick. So, for example, this setup right here. Now, once I apply the mark, it's slightly under 16K, right? Now, let's go ahead. Now, I got to have a precise. I can't afford to lose everything. So I'm going to go ahead and make a sharpened sword real quick. Stupid combat. I noticed that the trolls mainly come after a video about a person that loves the M word. I want to see Gilliam healing a normal pug dungeon as a Nightblade, much less a vet. Right. No, I think I don't mind Darth coming in and, you know, whatever, but best in slot. If that was the case, then why are all the other YouTubers not on the same page? That's another thing I don't get when they want to talk about Biss. Because Outcast and Gilliam will have different results and different opinions, right? Okay. Also, other tubers. The reason being, and let's take this, it's not based on the sets, it's based on their parameters and how familiar they are with their rotation. That's fact. That's why we do static here. Fuck rotation, it's a fucking human error. Human error can be applied. It can be fucking applied. Because pugs ate Biss. Oh, I love it, David. That's the best. That's the best. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a sharpen Thorax pack sword. Okay. I don't care what style it's in. Going to keep it purple. Alright. There we go. Alright. Now I'm going to go ahead. Oh, it's gold. So I do have to make it gold. 1 second. And this is why I don't say shit's best, because everything's going to depend differently on configurations. So right now I have the Nirnholm, right? So let's say I end up going with Sharpen, which I'm going to lose that proc from that increase. But so let's say I replace the Precise with this. Right. No, you're right, Rock. Alright, I love Gilliam, I really do. Great respect to him, but I am AD on PC, NA, and I PvP a lot. Gilliam is a PvE guru, but not PvP, so every build I get from any YouTuber is taken with a grain of salt. It should be that way anyways, Weedmar. It should really be that way. Any build should be taken with a grain of salt. I think everybody kind of has the right idea, but I always tell people, don't necessarily take my word for it. Don't take anybody's word for it. Kind of, you know, go off of what's working out best for you. So, and to me, I don't consider anybody a guru because we're human. We all make mistakes. And today's video was a prime example of where Gilliam was fucking up bad. He doesn't really understand everything in the game. So how is he a guru if he's fucking up? But we all can do that. We're human. You're going to ever stream PvP? I streamed PvP a couple days ago, Miami. But yeah, I need to do it more. I agree, Miami. Are you going to try to beat my ass? You beat me down a lot, Miami, by the way. So here's the deal, guys. So we're going to go back in, and the reason I put out the Sharpen and swapped out the Precise, because the tooltip isn't going to change. It's still doing an 8-3. But the Sharpen, once again, once I add this and we go into it, all right, 16-4-7, right? 16-4-7. Reason being penetrating values. But we go back in, we swap out Precise, right? Now, mind you, I'm hoping that this weapon enchant doesn't proc. Is that a yes? You're going to hunt me down, Miami? You guys. I love you guys. Now, see the drop here? So, the big deal is this. My crit value is going to increase, right? Because of the Precise traits. But once again, I'm going to lose base damage because of those penetrating values. But, once again, Run made a damn good point. You can over exceed the penetrating values, and depending on what's being applied. So if Alkosh is being applied, do I need that Sharpen? No, War Machine's still going to outperform even trial sets, because Slayer's taking a back buff. Slayer is what's hurt in trial sets right now. They need to buff up Slayer. It has to fucking happen. I only need one person in a trial with Infal. If I got more than one person with Infallible Ether, they're better off with Moondancers than Infal, right? That's a fact. So they're better off with a set like Moondancers because that applied effect, right? Once the minor vulnerability is applied, it's going to increase everybody's DPS. So I only need one person with Infal, right? Just like Night Mothers for Stan. But Infal affects all damage. It's not limited to Magicka. It's not limited to Stamina. It applies to everybody. So use Infallible Ether. Boom, one person has it. It sets up. Now, if everybody else is running a Moondancer or a Julianos and other setup, the DPS is going to significantly increase for your party. Any build you need to try on the PTS and see if it fits your personal playstyle before you commit to it. Right, Rock? That's the way it goes, man. I'm always going to say there's always going to be better results for each player depending on, those, indifferences. Right, exactly. Increasing the base damage will ineffectively increase your critical damage. This is true. This is why we do static. Fuck a fucking setup for a parse. Human error can be affected, right? Depending on my rotation. I cannot afford to feed people bullshit based on how familiar you are with a rotation. The static effect applies across the board. It applies. It's a fact. So if you don't switch up your rotation and the increased amount is applied, it goes across the board. So that's, you know, like I said, there are different ways to get the same effect. But there is a that rule to cause and effect. If I gain one area, I'm going to lose somewhere else. It's cause and effect. It's just the way it is. So, but I hope everybody kind of, I'm sorry about the trolls or whatever. I actually think the guy he introduced, he has a good video. He has a good build. I'm not going to diss on this dude who put this build together. So I'm not going to say that his stuff's nasty. 100 base crit, 150, 200 base crit, 300. Right. Ideally. Rep. That's exactly how it kind of goes, how it scales up. And but people don't pay attention to that. Like I think that's why they kind of focused a lot more back in the day, saying, "Oh, this is the way it should be done," but they weren't paying attention to those numbers a lot closer with base damage. Like they's like, "Oh, look how much I'm critting for," but their base damage was shit. And eventually, yeah, you're critting for a lot, but your entire DPS is suffering because your base damage is so low. So, but we remember, like, when I said that, I called out Gilliam, remember, when he said the shadow was Biss? And I said, over the apprentice? No. And then guess what happened? He changed his mind. And then, of course, what? Whatever, man. I got trolls. I got people who are going to hate me. I got people who are going to debate with me. But sooner or later, they all get on my page. Sooner or later. Do I think that they should be doing it? I think people should be doing what they want to do. Whatever you want to do, however you want to play it. Just know that you can make some tweaks to your build to get better results. You don't have to scrap your entire build. You can make some adjustments and it'll perform better. Also, getting familiar with the rotation is half the battle in any DPS setup. So, and keep in mind that every time you put in one set in one class doesn't mean that set is going to perform the same as another because of class passives. So it is what it is. But trial sets are still looking good. I just think Moondancer for me is not a valid offer. Yeah, I'm going to lose too much. If I want to stay with Grothdar, Moondancer is probably the way to go. If I'm not going to be running Infall. So if somebody already has Infallible Ether, I won't run it. But if somebody's not running Infallible Ether, it's going to be in my best interest for my group to apply the Infallible Ether so the minor vulnerability is applied to my party. If they get that buff. The target's getting the debuff, the damage is increased for my entire party. So one person with Infallible Ether, you're good to go. You're good. Moondancer, if you want to use it as a proc and run it with the monster set, it's still a strong set. I think War Machine has potential depending on the penetrating values. As one viewer said, if you can overextend the penetration, that might not be a good set for the Spinners. But Spinners is looking really good with the Julianos because we still have a lot of room if we're not going to run Sharpen Trait. Now, if we're going to be running a Sharpen Trait, that becomes questionable whether or not we're going to need a set like Spinners. So there it is, guys, pretty much how we test things and how we're going to take a look at different gear setups and configurations. Scathing Mage is still a good set, and I do want to explain this. Scathing Mage is still a damn good set, in my opinion. If I was going to run a set like Scathing Mage, I would replace the Julianos with like 2 drop sets and run the monster set. So if I wanted to, I could simply just do this. I could run the Grothdar medium, for example. I could run the Grothdar Heavy Pauldrons. Let me enchant this. Alright, and I could go, but the uptime for Scathing Mage is the problem. That's been the issue with some of but it would have a a better proc time than Moondancers. Why? Because I have to hit a synergy. And I have to synergize. Against 11 people, when everybody else is hitting synergies, unless it's a group synergy effect, that can be detrimental. I don't know if... Yeah, here they have it. So I can run a set like Scathing Mage and replace my entire Giuliano set, right? Which I loved this set. This was my baby for the longest time. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead. Oh, I need weapons. Scathing Mage weapons. And I need some spinner gear. Alright. Let's go down here. I will cover this. I should cover this. Alright. Now, this is a setup like I would typically be using a lot, but let's say I wanted to go with Scathing Mage, and I wanted to use the spinner set for extra penetration, right? Now, versus Moondancers, I don't have to rely on another effect, a party's effect. So make sure we have 5, right, and 5. That allows me to keep the Grothar set, right? And it allows me to keep Maelstrom on the back bar, whatever, except the only difference of that is I would probably go with the Precise versus Nirnholm. But regardless, one of the effects that I want to point out, it has to be direct effect, right? So let's say I'm in siphoning and I go to crippling. It has a direct effect and a dot. Same thing with Degen is a complete dot. That's not going to help me. But funnel health, right? Now let's take a look at my critical value for a minute. 57, so we're good there. We already have a penetrating set, so I might be better off with the Apprentice, but we'll check it out. Let me get my food buff. Okay. $16,600 on Scathing Mage and Spinners. Okay, that's fucking significant. Now let's take a look at Major Breach here. Let's apply the Major Breach. Might be going back to the setup. See, this is where Scathing Mage suffers. It has to be direct. See, once it drops off, your DPS suffers. $17,300 with the proc up. Now, let's go with the Apprentice real quick. Oh no, yeah, no, Weedmar, yeah, no, that's a great setup. Nothing wrong with that setup. You run dual Destro, I take it. Okay. Now, see, this is where Scathing Mage, like I said, I want it. 18. Look at that. It's a great set. This is the deal. I can get a shitload of damage from a setup like this once it procs and set it up. Once it procs, it's fine. It's fucking great, right? It's fucking great. It's going to deal a shitload of damage. If I can get my shit to pop up. Why isn't that set up? Here. Probably not set up. Okay. Controls. Let's go down here really quick. Combat metrics. Okay. Okay. Alright. When I take a look down here, Scathing Mage uptime is extremely fucking low. It deals a shitload of damage, but its uptime is crippling. That's the same fucking problem I have with Burning Spellweave on anything but the fucking DK, is the uptime. And a lot of players, if you're... Okay, despite my indifferences with Gilliam and Outcast, I have one respect for these men. One. This right here. This. The uptime. The uptime is crucial. If people aren't posting the uptime, it's literally whatever. Moondancers, you'd be better off with than Scathing Mage. Why? Because the uptime is just shitball for Scathing Mage versus Moondancers. I'm sorry, because the synergies are guaranteed. It's a guaranteed. Scathing Mage, it's why I had to back away from it. It deals a shitload of damage when it procs, right? When it procs. But the proc time, not worth it in my opinion, that uptime. To me, anything under probably like at least 50 throughout my rotation is not viable, depending on the effects. If I have a reduced below a 50% uptime, I'm not going to roll it. It's just the way it goes. It's not worth to lose the DPS. It's just not. So I'm not going to sack it, man. I would tell you, don't, as tempting as Scathing Mage is, and it's a good set, I'm not going to roll it until something gets done with it. It's just the way it is. If you have more direct damage, you'll be fine with it. Unfortunately for the Nightblade, they have a lot of dots. Same thing with the DK. DK actually has more direct damage than the Nightblade because a lot of its effects have direct then applied dots. So even the DK has more direct damage than the Nightblade. Moondancers would be better with Julianos, I'll be honest. Crazy. I want to try a crazy combo set. Destruction Mastery, Necro. I did have that type of build, Weedmar, but Destruction Mastery, you only get 2,500. And you'd be better off using Necropotence with Spider Cultist than Destruction Mastery. Destruction Mastery needs a bump. But it was a good, it's an okay set, but Spider Cultist will yield you more with Necropotence. Destruction Mastery, I just wish they would bump it up. It would be badass if they did, and you could use Destruction Mastery with Spider Cultist. That would be badass. Problem of it is you have no crit set, and you'd have no penetrating value set. That's the only problem. But anyways, all right, guys, so I'm going to wrap this up. I would still suggest if you're going to run a Grothar or Lamberance, most likely Nightblade's going to be Grothar. If you're going to run close range, Moondancer Julianos is really strong to keep your monster set if you're wanting to do that. If you're not running a monster set and you're double stacking, you're better off with like a Spinner's Julianos with Pack, right? If you're going to be running Infallible Ether, there's a couple different combos, but you only need one person in your group to have Infal. So a lot of different situations. You don't have to take my word for it. It's just my opinion based on what I'm seeing here. All right. Once again, I'm always going to go static. I'm never going to do full parse because human error can fuck shit up, and I'm not willing to do it. I'm always going to run static. I'm going to take a look at the numbers, what I'm seeing direct up front, making those adjustments based on critical values, so on and so forth, taking into effect penetration and shit. So once again, guys, just my opinion. But yeah, if you have any questions or comments, post below. I want to thank everybody for watching, and once again and always, thank you, and have a nice day.